All right, so now one of the big talking points has now what has become known as the trial within a trial, continuing in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case. Currently hearing evidence related to accused number 2 Bongani Ntanzi's confession and how that confession was reached. Ntanzi is disputing police officer Sololom Raphadu's testimony that he willingly confessed. That's important, that he willingly confessed in June of 2020. eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu outside the High Court out in Pretoria for us. Obviously going to be getting underway a little bit later this morning. Manqoba, hello to you. Let's take a look then. For viewers just joining, they haven't quite been following it, the detail that you have. Remind us how we got to this point today.
Well, Gareth, essentially what happened in court yesterday is that the evidence in chief of another police officer was then concluded yesterday. And this is a police officer that had taken the first confession that Bongani Ntanzi had made back in June of 2020. Recall that he was arrested on the 16th of June in 2020. And just 3 days after his arrest, he had then made this particular confession. It's not the only confession that he made. We also know that he made a second confession in front of Magistrate Vivian Cornier, who also took the stand last week detailing the process that she had followed as far as taking down that particular confession was concerned. So we're dealing now with the first confession that he had made, and he made this particular confession in front of Lieutenant Colonel Sololom Raphadu, who had then conducted this particular statement. They were at the Morocco police station in Soweto, and he also took the court about the rights that he had read to the accused, the right to silence, the right not to incriminate himself, and also he had also asked him whether he had been coerced or assaulted into making this particular confession, and he had then indicated to him that in fact he was not assaulted, and that there was no pressure that was applied on him to make this particular confession. He says that he had been in his sober senses, and he was in his sober mind when he made this particular confession. But, yesterday we also heard from the defense during cross-examination really disputing the version of Colonel Raphadu, saying that accused number 2 says he did not make this particular statement freely and voluntarily, and that they were saying that there was an assault that had taken place just prior to him making that particular confession. They say this was at the instruction of the investigating officer in this matter, Brigadier Kininda, and what he told the court is that he was taken to a place in Orlando where, he was then assaulted. And this is a secluded area, according to his evidence. He says Brigadier Kininda then requested the police, that, they assault him, and that if he does not sign this particular statement, he will be assaulted. So he says it was a prepared document that he was forced to sign, and he says that this was all under duress. Take a listen to that piece of evidence that emerged in court yesterday.
The instruction from Brigadier Kininda was to the accused was that if you do not sign this document, the assault will carry on.
I do not know of any meeting with Brigadier Kininda.
So the torturing, the tubing, assaulting of the accused carried on until until you told the police officers that were around, after seeing the condition of the accused, you asked them whether is he still alive. That's the question you asked.
I was never involved in any of those assaults or
right, so that's how it played out in court yesterday. But I just want to set a little bit of context, Manqoba, if we could for a second. There are still many people who've been following this trial, trying to understand what we mean by a trial within a trial.
Well, essentially, Gareth, what this trial within a trial is trying to establish is whether the confessions that were made by two of the accused, so that is accused number 1 and 2, can be admitted as evidence in court. So we understand that both of them had made confessions in front of police officers and, of course, a magistrate. And also, it's around the pointings out, which is an extension of the confession. So this is when the accused is then taken to the scene to conduct a pointing out of how exactly things had played out or when that particular incident had occurred. But, you know, what we understand is that this is also one of the issues that is in dispute in this trial within a trial. So this is all premised on Section 35 of the Constitution, and it speaks to the right of the accused when they are arrested and when they make a confession. So they have to be read their rights. They have to understand that they could incriminate themselves and that they should admit that there was no coercion that was applied to this. So this trial within a trial is trying to establish exactly how those confessions and pointings out were obtained by the police. Was there any force that was used? What did they make these particular confessions freely and voluntarily? And those are the key words, Gareth, that they were made freely and voluntarily. This is what the court is going to be looking at when trying to determine whether they should be accepted or not accepted as evidence in court. Of course, the state, if they are accepted, can then use these confessions as part of its evidence. But from what we're hearing from the defense, they seem to say that these confessions were not obtained freely and voluntarily, and that these accused were in fact assaulted, they were tortured into making these particular confessions. Also hearing yesterday from Gomezulu that, in fact, as far as Bongani Ntanzi's statement is concerned, it was already pre-written by the investigating officer and he was forced to sign it. And this is crucial in the trial within a trial because this is exactly what's at the heart of this dispute, whether or not they were coerced into writing those confessions. But take a listen perhaps to the second bite of how the lawyer for accused number 2 summed it up in court.
He will deny the fact that he ever made a statement. Neither was a statement read back to him. He never made such a statement. The statement came with Brigadier Kininda and he was ordered to sign that statement.
It is incorrect. He made it to me.
This means that he did not make a statement and he was not freely and voluntarily appending the signature on the statement.
He did all this freely and voluntarily, my lord.
And on the requirement, he was forced, coerced to make such, or to endorse or to append his signature on the written statement.
No, I'll disagree with that.
Sorry.
He put the signature thereof and the thumbprint freely.
All right, so just a reminder as well that the trial, within a trial, if you will, is going to be getting underway again later this morning.